is MCLR better than what the state can come up with? And then maybe you can tie that into the question of, is MCLR too much? Maybe can you address those issues for us, Dave?
Yeah, no problem. Those are things that we've actually been asked quite a few times, especially with the different bills that are being put forward by the legislature right now. A lot of people are hoping that we can actually see a regulated system come from our elected officials. Unfortunately, I guess I don't have as much faith, and a lot of people don't have as much faith in our public officials, especially given the amount of times things have gone before them for medical cannabis, and they've kind of cast them aside. But in general, when you look at what the legislature does, it's generally not favorable to the cannabis world. And that's been one of the problems that we've seen in a couple of the other initiatives that have been put forward and put out there in the past, is if you leave it up to the state to regulate, you don't guarantee you'll get good working regulations. So the main thing that would make MCLR better than what the state has come up with is ideally, well, actually what MCLR represents is the input from hundreds of people within the industry and other people concerned about medical cannabis and adult use regulation, all putting our ideas together into one document. So what we have is something that represents a lot more our side than what the legislature would come up with, which would more likely be on the side of the police or the enforcement side. And, as far as the length of the document, which I think is what the question is getting at, is MCLR too much? We are a very long document, and with the changes that we just brought in, we've lengthened it by a few more pages, so it even got longer. But unfortunately, one of the things that we learned in the Riverside decision was that because we're dealing with marijuana, if you don't clearly define it, you don't get it. So we would love to have been able to do this in one page, but when you get into the nitty-gritty of how the regulations have to be done, it takes a lot more detail than that. And as I mentioned earlier, a good portion of our document is setting up this commission in a way that we know will be fair and be able to come up with the regulations that will work for everybody versus the regulations that our elected officials might come up with.
Good. Thank you, David.